obligation bonds of the village during the next 36 months, an amount not to exceed $4 million for the purpose of providing funds to pay debt service on the village's outstanding obligations, finance capital projects of the village, including acquisitions and maintenance of vehicle equipment, street improvements, and building improvements, paying the cost of issuing the bonds and any other purposes permitted by law. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance if you are in person. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
under God,
indivisible, with
liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, can we get, I'll call the meeting to order at 7:03 p.m. We are located virtually. I am actually in the village chambers. Mr. Clerk, can we get a roll call, please?
Yes, we'll start roll call with the trustees. Trustees, if you're present, please answer aye and your name. Trustee Senior.
Aye.
Trustee
Trustee Andrea Senior.
Yep. Trustee Armour. Trustee Armour. Trustee Armour shows present, but I did not hear a response. We'll come back. Trustee Shelby.
Aye, Trustee Shelby.
Thank you. Trustee Miller. Trustee Miller is absent. Trustee Abraham. Trustee Abraham is absent. Trustee Chaumalave.
Here.
Thank you. And once again, Trustee Armour, can you hear us?
It looks like she's connected,
It looks like it, yeah.
Mr. Clerk. So let's give her a minute.
Yep, we'll give her a minute. Others in attendance, Village Administrator Letisa Jones. I see Ms. Jones. I see Kenneth Peterson. In the chambers, we have Budget Director Tom Hood, along with Tom Reedy and the mayor. And Madam President, that concludes our roll call. I assume Sheila Armour, Trustee Armour is available as soon as her audio connects. So please proceed, ma'am.
Yes. So next on the agenda is item 3, discussion of the proposal to sell bonds in one or more series over the next 36 months in the amount not to exceed $4 million for the purpose of providing funds to pay debt service on the village's outstanding obligations, finance capital projects of the village, including acquisition and maintenance of vehicles, equipment, street improvements, and building improvements, paying the cost of issuing the bonds and any other purpose permitted by law. We do have Mr. Tom Reedy from Stifel here to tell us more about this bond and what that means to the village of Broadview. So go ahead. Can you speak into the mic?
Primarily for the payment of ultimate revenue source, debt service on certain of the village's outstanding ultimate revenue bonds from 2003. There was a refinancing that was done in 2016 and also 2018 a alternate revenue source bond, which we will use the proceeds of the rollover bond to provide those units. This year, there's $154,150 worth of alternate fund service, which we will need to provide for the payment shortfall. After issuing the bonds, we anticipate, depending on the interest rate, for there to be roughly $65,000 available for capital projects. The village's debt service extension base, which is the property tax levy that is levied payment of the rollover bonds. This year it was $1,644,644. We anticipate the final size of this year's bond will be roughly $1,065,000. There is $4 million authorized securities, and the reason for that is that provides for the authority to issue over the next 3 years. Each time, the village does issue a new bond on an annual basis.
Excuse me, Mr. Reedy, I'm sorry to interrupt, but it sounds like they have a technical hearing. So can you come to my laptop and be able to give the presentation so that it's clear for everyone? I'm sorry you're going to have to start all over again.
Hi, good evening. Can you all hear me?
Yes, thank
Okay.
you. I
I'm
can
sorry
hear
about that. So starting over here, the reason for this evening's public hearing is to hold a Bond Issue Notification Act hearing related to the village's annual rollover bond issue. The village's bonds that are issued on an annual basis primarily are issued to provide for the revenue source to pay debt service on outstanding alternate revenue source bonds. The village has 3 at this time, series of alternate revenue bonds outstanding, going back to 2003, and then most recently the 2018 A bonds that were issued primarily for the renovation of Village Hall. The payment source for the annual rollover bonds is the village's debt service extension base. This year's debt service extension base is $1,078,644. Based on that debt service extension base, we anticipate the final bond issue size this year to be right around $1,065,000. You'll notice that the bond issue the hearing is for an amount not to exceed $4 million. That will provide for 3 years worth of issuance, as the Bond Issue Notification Act allows villages to hold, allows the authority lasts for 3 years once a public hearing is held. Each time that there is a bond issue actually undertaken, there will be a parameters bond ordinance presented to the board for final approval, though. This is not the final approval for 3 years worth of financings. After the payment of alternate revenue source bondish debt service in the amount of $954,950, we estimate that there will be about $65,000 to $70,000 available from this year's rollover bonds for the purpose of capital projects.
Budget officer. If Budget Officer Tom Hood wanted to say anything. Okay, so at this time, we'll take questions from the trustee. Trustee Senior, do you have any questions regarding this hearing?
No, I pretty much understood everything, what he was saying. I think that's good the way how they break it down, because he said this is going all the way back to 2003, if I'm not mistaken. Is that what he said?
That's correct.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's it. I'm good.
Thank you. You're welcome. Trustee Armour?
Hi, can you hear me?
We can.
Fantastic. I have a little difficulties going on here, but technical difficulties. So I was unable to get on initially to hear all of the introduction, but I did have a chance to go through the BINA document that was part of the legislation. And I understand it to a point, and I understand that these bonds have to be repaid, have to be paid back within the same year borrowed. And then the second thing that I understand is that in the long run, this is going to help us stay in line and get us back in line with our police and fire pension funds, and won't be such a strain on our operating costs. So if I'm understanding that correctly, I still do have a question, but that's not until our next meeting, but this does connect with our next agenda. Am I understanding that correctly?
That's correct, but as it relates to fire and pension payments, that's incorrect.
That's incorrect?
Yeah, your
Okay.
understanding is not correct.
All right, so well, I know one of the challenges, the reason why we have to do these bonds is because we're paying so much into the pension, the police and fire pensions. And so this is, if someone just could expound on how this will help us get back in line, and also the series 2003A. And I understood the gentleman when he was saying something about the renovation of Village Hall. That is the series 2015A. So, you know, we have 3 outstanding bonds already, and I don't know what years, what fiscal years those 3 outstanding general bonds or bonds, you know, what years those if affect, you know, are for. And then we're going to take out, you know, we're talking about taking out another one, or it could be a different one. I'm not sure. So, you know what, I really need to know how this BINA hall here is going to be affecting our next agenda. That's where I'm not making connections. And when I don't make connections, you know, I don't feel comfortable. So my question is how does this, what we're talking about right now, you know, these general bonds, how do they relate to the next agenda item, the
BINA?
BINA? That's one question. And then is what does series 2003A? That's a prior year bond that we have. And so those are, and what does it, and what is the amount of the series 203A?
Does that conclude your comment, Trustee Armour, before we answer your question?
Oh, comments. Oh, I was just happy to be on, you know, as far as questions, those are my 2 questions.
Okay, so let me make a point of clarity for the first one that relates to fire and police pension. So the purpose of these is to sell bonds in 1 or more series over the next 36 months in an amount not to exceed $4 million for the purposes of providing funds to pay debt service on village's outstanding obligations, financial capital projects of the village, including acquisition and maintenance of vehicles, equipment, street improvements, and building improvements, paying the cost of issuing the bonds and any purposes permitted by law. So that's the purpose of these bonds. So it has nothing to do with the fire and police pension. So what I will do is I'm going to turn it back over to Tom Reedy to address your specific questions that you had regarding 2003 Series A and 2015, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. So a couple clarifying points. Anytime the village issues general obligation limited tax bonds, the statutes require that the village hold what's known as a bond issue notification act hearing, or a BINA hearing. That is the reason for the public hearing here this evening, is to inform the public and allow the chance for the public to comment upon the issuance of the Series 2022 general obligation limited tax bonds. In terms of what the proceeds of this issue will be used for, there are 3 series of outstanding alternate revenue source bonds of the village. The most recent was issued in 2018. There's also a series outstanding from 2003, and then there's a series outstanding from 2015. So the primary use of proceeds for the current issue will be to provide funds for debt service on those outstanding issues. At the time, each of those bonds were outstanding. There was not a direct levy put onto the property tax rolls for those bonds, but there was a pledge to issue annual bonds to provide for the payment of debt service. And the village has done that on an annual basis going back to 2003 to provide for debt service on those outstanding issues. I believe I answered. Is there anything else
Madam
Yeah.
President, if I may,
Oh,
please let the,
Okay, so I'm sorry.
excuse me, please let the record reflect at 7:12 p.m. Trustee Abraham did arrive to the hearing. Thank you. The floor, Mayor.
So can he please give the amounts of the 2003, 2015, and 2018 bonds again? I heard him cite it earlier, but can he please repeat it again? And the amount that we're proposing for this one bond, how much, and does what we're the bond that we're proposing, is it going to comprise of what we owe on the 3 outstanding ones? So I need the amounts of each of those outstanding ones, and that amount, if those amounts going to comprise of what we're looking at to, to
So the currently,
obtain.
I'm sorry, trustee. So the currently contemplated amount will provide for 1 year's worth of debt service on those outstanding bonds in the amount of $954,000.
Your voice is going in and out. I'm sorry.
Do I need to speak into this? Okay, so the amount that is contemplated for the current issuance to provide for those 2003, 2015, and 2018 bonds is $954,950. And that is simply to provide for 1 year's worth of debt service on those outstanding bonds. The total amount outstanding between those 3 series of bonds right now is $11,495,000. So this won't pay those bonds off in total, but it will provide for 1 year's worth of debt service on those bonds.
Got it. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that.
Okay, thank you, Trustee Armour. Trustee Chalmalave, you have any questions? Mr. Reedy? Okay, I'll circle back to Trustee Chalmalave. Trustee Shelby, you have any questions or comments?
No questions.
Thank you. Trustee Abraham, do you have any questions or comments about the BINA hearing?
Unmute.
Okay, so we're going to go right on to the next agenda item. So I'm taking that no questions or comments from Trustee Chalmalave nor Trustee Abraham at this time. Mr. Clerk, did we receive any comments in writing?
Madam President, as of 6 p.m. this evening, we received no comments in writing, and I see in chambers we have no one present for testimony.
That's correct. So I'll call for a motion to close this public hearing at this time.
I second.
Need a motion first.
Motion to
A
close.
motion. Sorry. And I second.
It's been properly motioned by Trustee Senior and seconded by Trustee Shelby. Madam President, would you like a roll call?
Yes, please.
Okay, roll call to close the proceedings. Trustee Senior,
Aye.
Trustee Shelby,
Aye.
Trustee Armour, Trustee Armour. I don't,
She's not.
Trustee Armour, no. Okay, Trustee Chalmalave,
Hi, sorry, I'm having audio issues.
where's it? And Trustee Abraham. I still have Trustee Abraham on mute. So I have Trustee Senior, Shelby, and Chalmalave with aye votes, Madam President. Will that suffice for closing?
Yes, because it's a public hearing.
Yep, and I have no nays. Madam President, this meeting is hereby adjourned at
No, Mr. Clerk, no, it's not. Hold on one second. We got agenda 7. So
I'm sorry.
consideration of the resolution concerning a hearing required to be held pursuant to the Bond Issue Notification Act of the State of Illinois prior to the sale of the General Obligation Limited Tax Bond Series 2022. The Village of Broadview, Cook County, Illinois. I am calling a special board meeting to be held on Tuesday, February 15th at 7 p.m. virtually.
7 p.m.
Yes. Now I'll call for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
I second.
It's been properly motioned by trustee Senior, seconded by trustee Shelby. Madam President, shall I take a roll call?
Yes, please.
Okay, trustee Senior,
Aye.
trustee Shelby,
Yes.
trustee Chamalave,
Yes.
trustee Abraham. Trustee Abraham shows present but has not responded, maybe due to difficulties with audio. Trustee Armour is absent. Trustee Miller, absent. Madam President, this meeting is now hereby adjourned at 7:23 p.m. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. So I'll see you guys back up for our regular board meeting at 7:30. Okay, trustees?
Okay.
All right, thank you. Have a good evening. Well, see you in the see you shortly.
Minute.
Okay.
All right.